Hello and welcome to Folio 2.0. I'm Rob Nicholson. My guest today is none other than multi-platinum number one singles across the board, Mr. Clay Walker. Clay, welcome to Folio 2.0.
Rob, it's my pleasure to be here and appreciate you having me. I also enjoyed some of the banter and dialogue you and I were having just before we started the interview. So I think it's going to be great. Thank you for having me.
Well, it's great to have you here. What we're really excited about is having you back in Jacksonville. That's going to be on Thursday, the 14th of October at the famous Florida Theater. Looking forward to that show. You've got a relatively new album out, and you put it out last year during the pandemic, but this is your first opportunity to tour on it, and that's Texas to Tennessee.
Yeah, we recorded the album during the pandemic. I was able to, with all that time off, I was able to write or co-write all the songs on the album. So it's very personal and a little bit deeper look at what I'm thinking, I guess, and just be able to add a little, contribute a little bit more to an album was really nice. I must say that I love the Florida theater. I love Jacksonville. It's always been one of my favorite places to perform. I would say top 10, period. Country music has seemed to really take a root there, for a long time, and I'm very grateful for that.
You mentioned that when you took time off during the pandemic. I know you live south of Nashville with your family now, but you still have property in Texas, and you were able to kind of quarantine on your property there in Texas and just be you and the family.
Yeah, we have a working cow-calf operation down in Mineola, Texas, and then we have a home on the beach in Galveston, Texas, and so we had, during the pandemic, we were able to spend time, in Texas a lot. And it's kind of the way that the album got its name, Texas to Tennessee. We and my wife, Jessica, and I have been together 16 years, and we've been going, back and forth from Texas to Tennessee for all that time. And when we recorded the album, we recorded the musical piece here in Nashville, and then recorded all the vocals down in Texas. So it's those two states are very significant parts of our lives, and I thought it was an appropriate title for the new album.
Well, I also understand on a completely different subject. You welcomed, and as if I'm counting right, you welcomed baby number 7 in January of this year. So, Clay, there's something that causes that.
Well, it wasn't the pandemic. It's just sheer love for my wife. We have a great relationship, beautiful family, and Jessica and I have 5 kids together, and I have 2 older daughters, and who live in Texas, and Christian was our 5th child, our 4th son, and it's been as crazy as you can imagine, but as great as you can imagine too. We both enjoy parenting, and we both we love our kids.
Clay is going to be at the Florida Theater coming up on Thursday, October the 14th. The Florida Theater, a great theater for to see a show and to see this particular performer. In studying up for this interview, I've watched a couple of your other concert videos, and there was one where you literally jumped onto the back of a horse and ran around the stadium and high-fived everybody that you could get to. I don't know that they're going to be able to fit a horse into the Florida Theater for this particular one. The performance has really been a big part of what it's like to see a Clay Walker show.
Well, I've always believed that, people come to see a show, they can hear it also, but you can also hear music in a lot of different places. But to be able to see a live performance, it's one, it's, you want to be able to sound good, but number 2, you want it to be memorable for the person. I can remember, a handful of shows that I went to that I'll never forget, just because the entertainers, were just so into it. They wanted to be there. And now I can say that when I get on stage, I really don't want to get off the stage. I would say that 99% of the shows I've done in my life were everything I had to give, and just didn't want to leave. It's in my blood. And an example of that is we were a couple times this year, we almost got rained out, and either the promoter wanted to call the show and say, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to pay you anyway. But I'm like, I already had the check, and I'd be sitting on the bus, and I says, there's no way I'm not walking out on that stage. I'm not going to leave people standing in the rain out there. They're waiting on me. And if it's not lightning, I'm going out there. And, if they're not in danger, I'm going to go out there. And, it did cost me, ruining one of our soundboards. A very expensive soundboard got rained on, but I'll just tell you that if I don't get to perform, I would be highly disappointed. And there's only been one or two times in my career that we actually had lightning storms that kept us from performing, and that's saying a lot. I've never ever missed a show in my life, and it just goes to is proof that I want to be doing it.
It is clear when we see the shows. You're introducing some relatively new performers on this tour, Randall King and Lane Hardy. Randall King kind of takes us back, from what I understand, to sort of the classic old style country that you and I grew up on, and then Lane Hardy, who was the 19th American Idol. Have you had fun working with them? And I'm sure they're having fun working with you.
I have. We've probably the most memorable show was in Houston, Texas, at the Woodlands. Both those guys did phenomenal job. We sold out the show. It was an amphitheater, sold out clean, and having a sellout's a big deal, especially coming out of a pandemic where a lot of people are still afraid to get out and mingle. And I get it. I totally understand. But the Randall King and Lane both did a phenomenal job, and I'm a big fan of Randall King's music. He's got some really good songs, and it pleases my ear because it's the kind of music that I recorded early on and still love.
Speaking of which, when we were talking before we got on, we're going to hear the new album, but we're also going to hear the classics.
The classics are where it's at. You can do the new stuff. People. I think in a live show, it's okay to play, one or two new things, but I'm the same as them, man. I want play me my memories. I want to show. I want to hear songs that I either grew up with or songs that are relevant to my life, right now.
We have got Clay Walker coming to town Thursday, the 14th of October. That show's at 8:00, and going to be an awesome show with it in an awesome theater. Clay, you've not everything. I know when you have this monster successful first record in 1993, people think, wow, things just come easy to that guy. He's just so talented that it all happens. But that's not all there is to life. And in 1996, you had a talk with your doctor, and it was not what you were expecting.
Yeah, I remember that doctor's visit. Was just earth-shattering, life-changing, all of those things. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis that night, and took all day to figure it out. But or should I say, he probably knew in the beginning, but they wanted to be sure before they actually told me what was going on. And I didn't know what I was going to do to combat it. I had no idea. It was just like being run over by a Mack truck or a bulldozer. The scariest thing was, they didn't have any answers. I mean, none. And, normally you would think, okay, I got a broken arm, we're going to cast it, or got a cut, we're going to sew it up. There's some solution, to the problem that either is apparent or that they're discovering. And even with cancer, there's a treatment, in most cases there is a lot of different kinds of cancer. But with MS at that time, multiple sclerosis, I'd never heard the words before, so I didn't know what it was. I just said, okay, well, what do we do about it? And he said, well, there's not really a lot of known things we can do for it. So that was the scariest piece, is that you've presented me with this major problem and you haven't presented me with a solution. And that's when I turned to God. And I was raised a Christian, and I don't push my faith on people, but I gladly present, to people what worked for me. And that was, I, it wasn't, you don't know what faith is until you really have to use it. You can say I have faith or that I believe, but I will tell you that was a moment where, I could have gone the other way. I could have been mad because my prognosis, meaning they were trying to tell me what was going to happen to me. I asked the doctor point blank. I said, "Well, what comes next?" And he said, "You're going to be in a wheelchair, in no more than a couple of years." He says, "You're going to be dead shortly after that." And it was because I had so many lesions on my brain stem and my spinal cord in my brain, and that 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 that's when it scared me. That's when I realized that I was in a fight for my life at that point. It wasn't just a fight to get better, it was a fight to live. And I remember praying to God saying, "Please let me live. Just let me live." You know, and at that point, if you'd have said, "Would you give up everything that you've accomplished in your life, all the money you have, all the hits, everything you've ever accomplished, would you give all that up to live 10 more years?" Yes, I would have given everything up at that moment. But, it's a different day. And shortly after I prayed, my MS went into what we would call a complete remission. It just stopped. And, to this day, I continue to take medication, but doctors have seriously no answer for what happened to me other than it being a miracle. They literally, medical science does not have an answer for why it arrested, but I do. I know why it arrested. And so it's, but I do everything I can now to keep remission and to keep the disease in check and to stay healthy. And that's important. That's why I actually started a foundation, called, the Band Against MS, which now we're going to rebrand, just call it the Clay Walker Foundation. Most people who know me know that I have MS, and we're going to help a lot of people. We have helped a lot of people, and hopefully we'll find a cure to this disease sometime soon.
Well, that's it's so inspirational, to be honest with you, Clay, where some people would have just rolled over, and who knows? I'm a chaplain and my daily life, and there's a lot of people who would just have rolled over, and you didn't. You decided. Now you're helping other people with MS, and that's just absolutely amazing. And congratulations on that foundation, and congratulations on the remission as well. Clay, we cannot wait to see you here in Jacksonville. Again, it's on the 14th. There are tickets still available. And Clay, we're going to flash up. You go to floridatheater.com and purchase tickets now. There are still some available, but they won't be available long. It's been a pleasure meeting you. Can't wait to see you in a couple of weeks. Clay Walker, again, thank you so much for coming to Folio 2.0. And I'm Rob Nicholson. Thanks again, Clay.
Oh, thank you, Rob. I appreciate you having me on Folio. It's been wonderful. Thank you.